who do you want to be? The truth is that it is absolutely possible to reinvent yourself at any age. For me, it was 30 years old. I was 30 when I decided, you know what? Time for a change. Up until 30, I basically was a fitness dude. I was a bodybuilder, I was a personal trainer, I owned a gym, and that was the only thing that I considered myself to be. And the other reality is that other people viewed me as that person. But at 30 years old, I decided, you know what? It's time for something different. I want to be an image consultant, right? And that was the start of my new life. So today, guys, I'm going to go over the AlphaM Reinvention Plan. It's a comprehensive process that involves you analyzing who you are, where you want to go, developing new skills, changing who you've known yourself to be, and saying F it to anybody else who doesn't accept or understand who you want to become and where you're going. If you're ready, why don't you drop me one of these? And there are two things I just want to mention real quick before we get into this, all right? Number one is you are not too old, right? One of the things that I hear a lot of you guys saying is, oh, I'm 30, I'm too old, or oh, I'm 27, I'm too old, or 40, or 50. As long as you're alive, you are not too old. You can do it, you can change it, you can be the man that you want to become. And the second thing I just want to mention, if you are ready to reinvent the way that you smell to other people, I want you to check out Jada Titanium. I'm going to link to it down below. Guys, Jada is one of my favorite Swiss boutique fragrance houses. They don't do a ton of fragrances, they do a few fragrances perfectly. And their newest fragrance, gentlemen, that just dropped is Jada Titanium. This fragrance, it is fresh, it is light, it is powerful, it's bright, it's just a sexy, perfect fragrance. And that's the thing about Jada. Like I said, they don't have 27 fragrances, right? They have perfected a few amazing fragrances. And this new one, Titanium, is insane. If you guys are ready to up your fragrance game, smell better than her ex-boyfriend and all those other dudes that are wearing Sauvage, that link down below, use that discount code AlphaM20 to get 20% off of Jada Titanium. This fragrance should sell, in my opinion, for $300, $400, $500. All right, but like I said, because they're direct to consumer, they've cut out the middleman. They can offer you a superior fragrance, super high quality, super premium packaging for a crazy price. And with that 20% off, gentlemen, it literally is a fragrance no-brainer. Hit the link down below, Jada Titanium, sexy. Step number one is self-assessment. All right, there's no getting around this phase of the reinvention process. You've got to basically be honest with who you are, right? And where you currently are situated, right? What aren't you happy with? What is it about your life or who you are, or what you're doing, or who you're with you're not happy with, all right? Identify that first. Number two is assess your strengths. What are you great at? What do you love? What are you passionate about? What have other people told you that you're really good at doing? And determine what your non-negotiables are in terms of your core values. When you know who you are and what your non-negotiable core values are as a person, as a man, this is going to help steer you and direct you and not allow you to veer off course, which so many guys do, right? A lot of dudes, right, one day they're like, oh, I'm not happy with my life. And so what are they going to do? They're going to leave their family, sleep with their secretary, Brenda, drive a sports car. This isn't reinvention. This is a crisis. Visualize the person you want to become and the life you want to lead, all right? And this one a lot of times is challenging because a lot of times we feel like we are what we are or what we've been, right? For me, at 30 years old, it was hard because up until that point, from the age of 12, I always viewed myself as somebody who was a fitness dude and a fitness expert, and that was me, right? Well, at 30, when I decided, you know what, I need to be a style guy, I needed to allow my own perception of who I was go. You also need to understand that a lot of other people aren't going to get it at first. They will eventually, but at first they're going to still view you as the person that they perceived you to be or that you had been up until this point, and it's totally fine. Through your consistent actions or shift in the way that you speak, the way that you live, the way that you work, over time of you doing these things consistently, it will shift their perception and opinion of you to the person you are now. Set measurable goals, all right? Only you can set these, right? You got to be honest with yourself as well. You can't just have like some big North Star, I want to be an actor, right? Okay, that's fine, but what are some small steps in between that are measurable that you can actually do? I want to be a style consultant or an image consultant. And so for me, measurable success was getting a website up, right? That is measurable, all right? Getting my first client, working with them, that is measurable. You've got to be able to set measurable goals that are going to move you and perpetuate you in the right and forward direction. It's time to set down those bad habits, all right? You've got to take better care of yourself. And this is a critical component of the reinvention process, right? You've got to be the best version of yourself, which means physically. For me, I was already in like good shape, but it meant I needed to stop drinking and binge drinking, right? And using drugs and alcohol in order to basically calm the voices in my head that was basically me saying I wasn't good enough or being disappointed in the life I was living. When I stopped drinking, a lot of things started to fall into place in terms of the reinvention process, all right? I stopped hanging out with the people that were holding me back, which is another component to reinventing yourself, all right? If you are surrounded by people that are holding you back or doing the self-destructive things you are trying to outgrow, you're never going to truly become the man that you want to be. You've got to let it go. And for me, when I stopped drinking in excess and binge drinking and hanging out with all those people, I felt better about myself, because my self-esteem skyrocketed, right? And when that happens, a lot of incredible things happen. My confidence, it grew. And when I wasn't making the bad decisions and doing the self-destructive things, everything in every aspect of my life got better. Build positive habits that are going to basically impact the rest of your life, all right? For me, getting up early, positive habit. Working out every day, positive habit. Being able to focus, be disciplined, to work hard and not get distracted by the noise of the nonsense, good habit. Gentlemen, it's about refocusing yourself and letting go some of the bad behaviors that you've had in the past. And the thing that you need to understand is you are not what you were. One of the big misconceptions is that people don't change. And the truth is that people don't change that don't want to change. If you're committed to this new process, if you're committed to learning and developing new habits and becoming a new person, it's not only possible, it's probable. The next step is develop new skills. All right, one of the parts of the self-exploration process is identifying the gaps or the weaknesses. Where are you deficient? What skills do you need to develop in order to become this person that you envision yourself to be? For me, I need to learn more about style because I was great at fitness. I knew how to diet. I didn't know how to tie a Windsor knot. I didn't know how a suit should fit. I started to learn all these things. I went in and talked to tailors. I read books. I educated myself on the process. And then I started to film myself talking about these things and put it up on YouTube, right? The truth is that in those early videos of mine, I looked like a hot mess, right? I had a big jacket that was oversized. I went to JCPenney's to get like a new wardrobe to look the part, right? But I was a mess. I was basically learning on the fly and then regurgitating. Fake it till you make it, right? You've heard that. It's the truth. I was learning, I was regurgitating, I was executing, all right? And over time, I built my skill set and I built my knowledge base in this new concept, in this new protocol, basically. Which brings me to the next thing. I started to dress better. I dressed the part. And that's the thing. You've got to dress for the man that you want to become or the role that you want to have. All right? If you're still wearing sloppy clothing or you're still groomed like a hot mess, you are not truly growing. You are not truly reinventing yourself into a new, better version of yourself. You've got to adopt a better style. You've got to have an incredible grooming routine. If you're presenting a great package that is consistent with the way that you want to be perceived as this new and better version of yourself, the great news is that half the work is already done. You don't even need to open your mouth. People are automatically going to assume that you are what you perceive yourself to be. And that's the beautiful thing about style and grooming, right? It's the great equalizer, right? You might not have the biggest knowledge base. You might not technically be an expert or the best, but if you look better than other people, you automatically are perceived as better than them. But you also need to back it up, which is the next part of the reinvention process. You know, faking it till you make it is one thing, right? Looking the part is another. Talking the good game is also incredibly important. But then you've got to execute. Execute, gentlemen. It's about execution. That's the thing, and that's the missing component. A lot of people talk about or want to be or envision themselves to be something that they would love to be, but they're not. And the reason is because they're falling down on the most important part, and that is the execution. You've got to adopt a growth mindset. You've got to embrace personal development. And when you do this, and when you can shut out the noise of your past failures, of your own preconceived notion of who you were as a person yesterday and what other people perceive you to be, when you can block out that noise and focus on doing and executing the plan and the strategy in order to build you into the man that you envision yourself to be, that is where the magic happens. And that is when you are a better man.